Hello. Welcome back. We're back. We're so back. Unbelievably so, I would say. Welcome back to the local music, good stuff. The best stuff that came out, in the past, um, two... okay. Here's the thing. I got very busy very fast, and I did not have time to work on this video. So initially it was gonna be just April, but then April passed and then May passed, and I was like, oh shit, okay, well I should do April and May. But now June and July have also passed, so I'm about 4 months behind on local releases. I've been keeping track of everything the whole time, but yeah, life got in the way, time got away from me, and now here we are. It is July 31st when I'm filming this, and I'm making a video about the music that came out in the months of April and May. So, hey, what are you gonna do? Life comes at you fast, but what we're gonna do today is we're gonna talk about my favorite stuff that came out in those 2 months. You may have forgotten everything that happened in those 2 months because, uh, you know, head trauma, something like that. I don't know. But I'm gonna remind you of the best stuff. And if you haven't heard any of this, then you should go check it out. There's two playlists in the description. One with everything from the past 2 months, which is a lot of music. And the other one has my favorites. Okay, I think that's everything I need to mention before we get into it. So without further ado, let's just get into it. We're gonna go in alphabetical order because I can't really go in release date order since I wrote all of my notes down kind of out of order. I got to albums last, so I would just be talking about all the albums last, and I don't know, it just doesn't make as much sense to me. So we're gonna go alphabetically. Up first, we have this new 22 Long Rifle EP. It's a self-titled EP, so just 22 Long Rifle. But it's very, very compelling, just straight up brutal screamo. It almost borders on metalcore with how like tough it is. It's definitely not like typical screamo as far as I can tell, but it's some of the most unrelenting screamo I've heard in a long time. My favorite track is Too Late. If you're a screamo head, you'll definitely like this, but I think if you fuck with any kind of heavier music, you'll enjoy this, especially because it doesn't really it doesn't adhere strictly to the screamo styling. The songs are mostly all pretty short, but they all pack an emotional punch and are very intense. And none of them feel incomplete, which is a hell of an achievement for writing an album or any kind of project where the songs are this short. I don't really often like screamo too much. There are notable exceptions, but I think in general the genre just doesn't really do much for me. So I think the fact that I liked this so much means that if you also don't really consider yourself a fan of screamo, I think you should definitely check this out. There were moments in this EP where I was like feeling stuff. Like I was giving like I had like an emotional response to the music, which is like it's just a testament to how good it is. That it managed to break down those genre barriers for me and give me the intended effect that screamo is supposed to have. So definitely check this out if you are into screamo, if you're not into screamo, if you just like music. It's going to be the case for all of these. But up next, we have this new 24-hour lesbian date single, The Age of Aquarius. Now, 24-hour lesbian date is a project that has just eluded me the whole time that they've existed. I've basically been filtered by everything that they've put out, except for this one. I really like this song. It is just, it's like getting punched in the face a bunch of times. I have no clue what genre this is. Keeping up with the physical violence metaphors, this is like getting jumped in an alley, and then you get jumped so bad that you start having visions of like forest creatures. It's such a crazy song. I don't want to talk it up like it's, oh, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my whole life. But it's definitely out there. I definitely think this is something that if you're into like outsider kind of weird shit, you'll get a lot out of. I hope that I like get 24-hour lesbian date now, because I would really like to keep listening to and enjoying their music. Not that I've disliked anything that they've put out so far, but up until now, it just wasn't for me. So, yeah, shout out 24-hour lesbian date. Check this out. And also, if you do check this out, tell me what genre you think this is, because I have no idea. I really couldn't tell you, but, you know, end of the day, it's music, so what does it matter? Up next, we have this new single from A Blue Room and Mixed Matched called I Can't Hear You. I don't have too much to say about this one, but it's just some really damn good shoegaze. It manages to be a step above a lot of local shoegaze I hear due to some interesting production choices and a pretty catchy chorus. Managed to keep my attention throughout, which is, if you've ever listened to a bunch of local shoegaze, you know that's an achievement. So, highly recommend to all my shoegaze heads out there. This is some good stuff. Up next, we have this new Aestrea song, Klawz. I think this is my favorite Aestrea song. It's very atmospheric, very moody. It doesn't even get properly going until like halfway through it, but that's part of what makes it so good. The progression and the vocal melody are both compelling enough to keep you engaged, even when there's not really a lot going on. The understated vocal performance really adds a lot to the depressive vibes of this track, and I like how it kind of stays at the same intensity while more elements of the song are being introduced. I think it's a really good way to ground the track as it kind of lifts off into space. It also complements the toxic yet lucid nature of the lyrics. I really appreciate how it's the perspective of the person singing it is like, it's like, yeah, I'm not really that great of a romantic partner, but I recognize that, and I also don't really like that. It's interesting. I like it. I wonder what it would sound like if Aestrea were to put together a whole album or an EP of some sort, because as far as I can tell, it's just been singles up until this point. So, but even if that doesn't happen and it's just singles from now on, if they're all going to be this good, then I don't really have a problem with it. So check this out. Up next is the new Blurry EP called Everything Under the Sun. I think it is fucked up that more people aren't listening to this. This is the kind of thing that it sounds like an EP that's put out by a band that's been touring for like ever. It's so seasoned and fully formed that like I feel like everybody should already know about this and be listening to it. Like I feel like I'm patronizing you by telling you how good this thing is. Like the conversation shouldn't be, hey, have you heard of this Blurry EP? It should be, hey, what do you think of the new Blurry EP? Because listening to it is a foregone conclusion in this scenario, but alas, the world is not perfect, unfortunately. Don't know why I moved that armrest. It was less comfortable the way I just moved it. So yeah, that's the reason why this country is failing, is because not everyone has already listened to this Blurry EP, but that's okay. You can fix that. You can listen to it. It's just some really damn good alt rock with compelling vocal performances and catchy choruses and cool songs. Just listen to it, you asshole. God, I shouldn't have to tell you about this. Up next is something else you should already know about. The new Bummer Hill. Whoa! I'm obviously not going to talk about it like that because it's my music and I'm biased. But I got someone else who is less biased to talk about it. Nico from Big Yellow. Yippee!
Let's talk about Far Removed by Bummer Hill. I've been lucky enough to know these guys for a while, and I'm happy to say this is the best thing they've ever released, both in terms of songwriting, in terms of production, even in terms of instrumentation. To go back a little bit, talk about some of their earlier projects. The first project they dropped, an EP called Greetings From. I honestly think about this project a lot like a bedroom emo project. The production feels a lot more made at home, a lot of drum machines. City Limit being a big step above that with better songwriting. Without Your Love still being one of my favorite songs by them. But to talk about the album they just dropped, this thing rocks. If you've never listened to this band before, you can expect a lot of emo influences. One of the bands they always remind me of is Origami Angel, although calling them an Origami Angel clone is a huge disservice to what they are. This thing has so many influences that just show up, and they are mixed in surprisingly well. Songs like Have a Nice Life start off with some heavy chords and then eventually lead into a ska section. You have the poppier moments that you would expect from Bummer Hill, like songs like Ladybugs, and then that song seamlessly transitions into the heaviest song they've ever written. Two Steps Back, an ass kicker, a face smasher, and if you've ever seen them live, it gets unexpectedly violent during that song. There's a really cool bossa nova influence with the song Water in the Desert, which is a huge highlight for me. I'm also a huge fan of the opener and how it transitions into Have a Nice Life. The opener song called Vonnegut, which starts with the lead singer Jack, he starts to sing over these really pretty guitar chords. And the lyrics just feel like an immediate punch to the gut. I can tell there's a lot of vulnerability coming out of these guys. Throughout the album, I picked up a lot of themes of feeling inadequate, feeling lonely, generally feeling disappointed in life and trying to move past it. To also talk about some of the instrumentation. These guys have really learned how to play their fucking instruments. Their drummer, Rui, just finding ways to switch up rhythms and mix in his influences into the songs. Bassist and vocalist, Dawson, not only continuing to come up with some great bass lines, but also we got some backup vocals from him on songs like Water in the Desert. And then we get him doing some pretty cool screams on Two Steps Back, as well as some gutturals near the end of that track. The end of the album is pretty interesting. It starts off with some drum machines, the first drum machines we hear on that album, and it reminds me a lot of their first project. And then that transitions into like a huge emo epic. Overall, for a 7-track album, it's very intentional. They did not cheap out on production. This thing sounds professional. If you like emo, honestly, if you like rock music in general, check it out. Okay, that's all for me. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you for the kind words, Nico. But up next is this new Can't Keep Up EP, Maybe There's Solace, new hardcore EP from Can't Keep Up. Not a terrible amount to say about this one, but it's just some exciting hardcore. It's a brisk little EP that is jam-packed with riffs and compelling lyricism. They channel a lot of righteous anger in these songs, and it never comes across as corny or trying too hard, which is pretty good. I definitely enjoy that. And also each track is just different enough to keep things interesting. My favorite track is Innocence Under Debris. Halfway through the song, the Hatred Hill feature hits. There is a Hatred Hill feature on here, forgot to mention. That feature hits and it just gets super heavy out of nowhere and it's awesome. So I highly recommend this EP. Check it out if you're into hardcore. If you're not, check it out anyway. You might like it. Up next is this new Central State release, Demo 2024. Again, not too much to say, but the riffs are there. The performances are mean, and that's really all you need. Looking forward to more from Central State, but the shit slams. Up next is this new Farseek record, Who Can Start the Fires. This thing is so good. Farseek is a band that's not entirely from Georgia. I believe they're from Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida. But I want to talk about this record anyway because it's really good. This is one of the most unique emo records I've listened to in a while. Its influences seem to range less from your typical emo influences. It feels more folk and almost country influenced. Not like it doesn't have the traditional hallmarks of an emo release. It's got noodly guitar riffs, emotive vocals, cool song structures. It's even got a trumpet. Where it gets more interesting in terms of sound is how warm this record is. Like, not like there haven't been warm emo records to ever exist. I mean, shit. This one pretty warm. But I'm talking this is beach warm. I'm talking like this is maple syrup warm. Like uh this is so sweet and full. It's like it's like you're just drizzling a bunch of maple syrup on some pancakes. Like, it's awesome. Salt is one of the most loving tracks I've heard all year. The instrumental is so alive, and the lyrics are so comforting, I guess. Just the way that they paint such a vivid picture of the tender moment of waking up next to the one that you love. Um, it's so serene. It's hard not to get caught up in it when you're listening to it. Another thing that helps differentiate this record is that there's a banjo like everywhere on this record, which is not something I usually see in an emo record. Um, but that kind of adds to the vibe, and like it's almost Americana-esque mood throughout the record. I appreciate most of the lyricism when it hits. It's so evocative and captures whatever feeling the lead singer is going for so effortlessly. My favorite track by far is New Short Haircut, a track that feels like a mission statement for the whole album. The way the song builds and recedes is almost overwhelming with the amount of elements present in the song, but they're all working in harmony to add to this just immaculate mood. And the same goes for the vocals. Like, none of it is fighting for attention. It's all just laying everything out there and letting you get washed away. Check this album out. I think there's something for everyone here. Shout out Farseek. Really good record. Up next is this new Frigga 5 single, Goodbye. This is the best Frigga 5 single they've put out so far. I think the chorus is pretty compelling, and the breakdown works very well. I like the vocal performance too. It's a cool song. It's pretty different from the rest of their output in that this is the least nu metal of everything they've done. I'm not really a nu metal guy, so maybe that's why I liked this more than everything else they've done. But I digress. I like this song. I like it a lot. Give it a listen. Frigga 5. Up next is this new GutBust EP, Big Head. I think when I listen to this EP, I think I get the appeal of hardcore. Like, I get it. Whenever I listen to this, I want to find the nearest person and just beat the ever-loving shit out of them. This EP activates such a primal fury within me that I get it. You know, I get why you would why someone would just devote their whole lives to the hardcore scene. Like, yeah, man, I love beating people up unironically whenever I listen to this. This is awesome. This EP just elicits such a primal fury within me that I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it, but I think this EP will get me to start working out again at the very least. The riffs are tough, the grooves are undeniable, and the vocals are downright hateful. I think what also helps me enjoy this EP is the production. It's so full, and you can pretty clearly pick out the different instruments and what they're doing, but not to the point where it's too clean or sterilized. It's definitely just as mean as the songs themselves. My favorite track is Useless, but this whole thing is definitely worth listening to, especially if you're a hardcore head. I think this is really great. Up next is this new Hail Gail EP, Words of Affirmation. Hail Gail has been around for a few years, but this new EP feels like a reintroduction to the band. The lineup's changed. They're now a three-piece. I think there's only one common member between this lineup and the last one. I could be wrong on that, but regardless, with this new lineup comes the best music they've ever written. It's not really even that different from what they were doing before. It's still alt-rock, garage rock, pop punk, that kind of vibe. But the main difference now is that it's good. It's really good. It's a lot of fun. There's also flashes of something truly special in here too. Like the song "A Love Letter to You" could have easily ended before the 3-minute mark, but the band chooses to put a breakdown in there that like steadily gets faster until the song just explodes again, and it's super cool. That's not something that a band that's like not worth a shit would even think to do. They would just like get to the end of the song and just be like, all right, guess it ends there. But Hail Gale felt like they needed to extend it by like another full minute and a half, which I really appreciated because it worked. It was awesome. Give this a listen and definitely keep an eye on this band because I can feel it's only up from here for them. Up next, Hey Nothing. Hello, Hey Nothing. Put out 3 songs in in these 2 months. The 2 that I'm going to talk about are Maine and The Sink. I like Timeline as well, but I'm going to talk about that more next video when I talk about the whole EP. But they continue to put out quality stuff. I think they just keep getting better, which is a little crazy. These 2 songs, Maine and The Sink, kind of feel like a different direction from what they usually do, with Maine being considerably darker than the stuff that they've put out before. It's also long. It's like a 5.5-minute song, but you don't feel the length at all. Maine is just such a powerful track. Like I just got goosebumps thinking about it. Like it's so wonderful. I like that this side of the band is getting more shine now. I really appreciate the lyricism in this track. I've always thought that Hey Nothing had a leg up on their contemporaries as far as lyrics go, but here they really shine, especially on Maine. The Sink is considerably lighter than Maine, but it's catchy as hell and hasn't left my head since I first listened to it. These 2 songs are great, and I'm looking forward to talking about them in more depth when I talk about the EP next video. In short, I love Hey Nothing. Keep it up. Very, very excited to see all the success that they've gotten. Very epic. Up next is this new Hirsh EP, Living Room Jams. One thing that I did not expect when getting into just listening to as much local music as I could was a lo-fi hip-hop EP. But that's what this is. I didn't know we had lo-fi hip-hop like that. But yeah, this is really good. It's vibey enough to where you could put it on in the background for when you're like studying or working or whatever, but it's also interesting enough that if you're listening to it, you could get a lot out of it. I really appreciate how this feels like just some people getting in a room and jamming out on some ideas, which is not really a vibe that I usually get from lo-fi hip-hop, but I fuck with it. I like it. Shout out Hirsh. Cool stuff. Up next is this new Johnny Falloon single, Okra Man. Now, this is some gonzo music. This is damn, man. This is some wacky, this goes wacky style, is all I'm saying. This is some music that would come on during the introduction to the most comically evil villain you've ever seen in your whole life. The majority of this track is based around a relatively simple kind of loop, as a lot of post-punk is, but it really pulls off the building of intensity and anxiety as that kind of thing is just hammered into your head over and over again until it just kind of breaks and then just builds into a fucking unreal final minute. Like, this song is something else. By the end, it feels like you've been taken on a journey through a hurricane. It's intense, harrowing, and completely bonkers, and I really can't recommend it enough. I'm super excited for whatever this band does next. Check this out if you're into some super freakazoid shit, because that's what this is. And up next, we have this new Parker Wierling single, Freakin' Out. This is my favorite Parker Wierling song that I've heard. It's very lush, very peaceful, despite the anxious nature of the lyrics. And I'm always down for a good instrumental, doesn't match the lyrical vibe kind of thing. But this this song could really be about anything and I would still like it. Um, that's how much I'm into the instrumental. I love how it sounds. I think the vocal performance is good and the vocal melodies are nice. It's just a very lovely, pillowy time. Shout out Parker Wierling. Up next is this new Pinto Sunshine album. Their debut album, Pinto Sunshine Volume 1 is what it's called. This is tough because on one hand, all of the songs here are fantastic. Like Pinto Sunshine is nothing short of just a super talented group of musicians. And this album is really good at showing that off. They're so great at putting songs together in a compelling way that it feels uniquely them. It's a lot of indie rock vibes, but some prog rock here too. Uh, they're a very exciting band to listen to. And now you're hearing all that and you're like, well, what's the problem? Why is it difficult? The production. I don't think the production is very good at all. I think whoever mixed this record probably fucking hated this band, which is crazy. And I've talked to the band about this. They know that I feel like this, so I feel comfortable telling you about it. These songs feel like they're done a disservice by these mixes, which is such a shame because tracks like Rango, Saint Valentino, and the opener, which has a name that I can't repeat, they're all so exciting and so thrilling. I just wish that the songs were mixed in a way that complemented the songs. They're pretty flat and not very dynamic, which just completely betrays how electrifying this band is to watch on stage. I almost feel like an ideal recording environment for this band would be just getting all of them in a room and recording that way. Like maybe redo some vocals here and there, but even then, I think Santi sounds better live than he does on this record. It's crazy. Like, and you can kind of get a vibe of this. They did a live version of Saint Valentino for that Tiny Desk contest that went on some months ago. So you can listen to that, and I think that live version kind of brings out the more like shoegazy elements of that track that aren't really present on the recorded version. And they also somehow feel tighter on that live recording than they do on the record, which is, it just goes to show you just how much of a great live band they really are. If nothing else, though, this album proves that Pinto Sunshine can write a damn tune. My favorite Pinto song is Villains. It's so emotional and big. It's big. It's not big music, though, but it's big. It's 6.5 minutes long, but I really can't get enough of it despite that. Limon con Pepita 1 is an instrumental track, and I actually think that it's mixed the best out of everything on here. It feels like you're going on an adventure with Donkey Kong, is what it feels like, so I really like it. I really don't have bad things to say about any of the songs here. I really appreciate the opener's dynamic structure of just like this jungle japes kind of beat that it just erupts into propulsive ska and then goes into more indie rock vibes from there. I love Dopamine on Sunday, great track. Love El Volvo. Why isn't Pretty Palladians on here? That song's great. Why isn't it on the record? Whatever. Who knows? But listen. Most people, like, if you're listening to me talk about this record and you're like, oh, I won't listen to it because of the mixing or whatever. Most people don't care about mixing like that. I care, but you might not. So if you listen to this record and you're like, this shit comes, I don't know why he's being such a hard ass about the mixing. Hell yeah, brother. More power to you. I wanted to talk about this record and I wanted to be honest. So that's my feelings on it. Fantastic songs, just cannot speak highly enough about the songs. It's just the production that I don't like. Whatever Pinto does next, I can only imagine will sound better than this. So I'm excited for the future of this band. Just to like preserve these songs, because I know they probably want to move on from these tracks because they've been playing them for years and years, and this album just now came out. So just for me, record a live version of this album and Pretty Palladians, and let me buy a vinyl of it. All right, there we go, and we'll call it even. Not like you guys owe me anything. But it'd be cool. I like it. All right. I like the songs. I like them. And I like this band. All right, motherfucker. Okay, whatever. Let's move on before I have a stroke. Up next is this new Robe single, Tunnel of Love. Very sophisticated, laid-back dream pop. I love the main melody. I love how the track progresses, especially like how it builds and then like just kind of trails off into these like staccato MIDI keys, and then how that develops into a softer section. This is really good stuff. Check out this new single by hit band Robe. Up next is this new Strumbrush album. Strumbrush. Wow! Whirlwind. Yippee! They put out an album. I don't know if my face really matched how excited I was for this record, but this is just... I've said it a bunch of times whenever I talk about Strumbrush. This band feels so singular. Like this is a Strumbrush album. Just like how I said before with Light Eaters, how that was a Strumbrush song. That trend continues into this whole record. And not even like every song sounds exactly like Light Eaters, because then it would be repetitive and boring to just listen to the same song like 10 or 11 times and call that an album. That wouldn't work. This record is pretty versatile, but kind of keeps the vibe of whimsical adventure through a forest on acid. This album bounces around from kind of, I know I already said whimsical, but this is maybe the most whimsical song on the record, Daylight on TV. That song and its like slidey guitars really, it kind of harkens back to like pretty odd era Panic at the Disco, if that was like slightly more evil. And I love Pretty Odd. Pretty Odd is one of my favorite records. So I'm happy to make that comparison. I don't know how Strumbrush feels about Panic at the Disco, so I hope I didn't just like offend them. Like that song exists on this record in the same space as Light Eaters, which I've talked about before, but I am willing to induct, if I have any authority to do this, I'm willing to induct Light Eaters into the Freakcore Hall of Fame. It's so wacky. I've talked about it before, but damn, man, that song is so good. It's kind of almost prog rock in a way that the song like starts out completely different from the rest of the track and like builds into it. And then like the verses and the chorus are completely different as well. And like I've said it before, but that part where all the guitars and like everything just stops for like a beat just makes me want to punch a hole in a person. That I believe that's exactly what I said before, but it remains true. That's just how the song makes me feel, damn it. I also want to shout out the title track. Did I say the name of this album? It's called Whirlwind. If I did say the name, then, I'm losing my mind and I need to eat something. Might go to Cookout after I'm done posting this video, because that's probably the only thing that'll be open. But yeah, that title track is just so lovely. By the time this record ends, I'm always like, damn, it's over already? Guess I gotta run it back. So I don't know what makes this band sound so different. Like, all the elements of this band on their own, like it's not like they're reinventing the wheel or anything, but just the way that like the way that these like spaced out kind of almost like fragile sounding guitars just like kind of weave in and out of each song, complemented by Foster Wells' just like paradoxical voice. That's the only way I can really describe it, because his voice is like it sounds weak but powerful at the same time. And I believe Jack Pace, who's also in Bice, has some vocals on this album too. This album is just so such a compelling listen. Really great stuff. Shout out Strumbrush, Art Rock Nation, Freakcore Money. Uh, fuck you. Listen to this. Up next is this new team deathmatch double single. 2 of them! Wow! The 2 songs are called Sprain and Brian. This is just right up my alley. This is just some like shoegaze tinged Midwest emo. I can't really explain why this hits so hard for me, but it does. I love how the soft vocals are complemented by, like, there's a lot of guitar feedback in these songs, but it never feels like piercing or overwhelming or out of place. Like, it feels like just right for these tracks, which is crazy because Brian is not that aggressive of a song at all. Sprain is a little more. Like, Sprain is the kind of song where, like, oh yeah, I can see the feedback working in here. But Brian, it like, somehow it works as well. Like, I don't know how that happened. Like, there's a lot of space in these mixes. Nothing ever feels too overwhelming, even when Sprain kind of kicks into full force. It all feels very appropriate in how aggressive it sounds. And it's excellent. It's excellent. All right, sue me. It's excellent. What do you want me to do about that? I think Team Deathmatch is a band that you're going to want to keep an eye on if you're into emo at all. I think they are, well, they better be going places. That's how I'm going to put it. I think they have the sauce. They have the juice. They have it. Whatever it is, they have it. Team Deathmatch has it, and you need to listen to them. Up next is this new Them in Uniform single, A Letter to Jack. This thing is, I have a very particular analogy or metaphor for this track, so bear with me for a second here. I'm just going to read what I wrote. This song has a chorus that feels ripped straight out of an early 2000s high school teen dramedy where we're following the main character through the halls while she walks to her locker and encounters the other characters we'll be seeing throughout the rest of the movie. All that to say, it's a fantastic chorus. I would hesitate to say that the song is carried by the chorus, but the chorus really stands out here. The verses and the bridge are great too, but that chorus, man, woo, you gotta hear it. It stuck in my head as I filmed this video. Really good song. Excited for some more alt rock, pop punk kind of stuff from Them in Uniform. Sick stuff. Up next is this new Turn Cold release, Summer Promo 24. 2 pretty straightforward ass beaters. Not much to say beyond that. I mean, if Turn Cold's next thing sounds anything like this, then I'll probably like it a lot. Just some really great crossover thrash. Shout out if you like Metallica, I guess. I don't know, Metallica's the only other thrash band I can think of at the moment because I'm stupid. Up next is this new Vessel album, Wrapped in Cellophane. I love this thing. I'm not gonna go like pull it out because I have all my records like displayed. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, I've got them all like set up and whatever. Oh, look at that. So I don't want to go drag it out of my shelf because that would be too much effort. I should have just got it out before I started filming, but regardless. I have the vinyl of this album. That's how much I like it. Something about it just makes me feel like very comfortable. I can't really place why, but it feels kind of old school in a really nice way. I think it's due to the production. Like, none of this, nothing ever like completely fills your ears. Like, it's definitely not a maximalist record by any stretch of the word. It's not minimalist either, but it's the kind of thing that I feel like I would hear my parents play throughout the house, but like in the cool way. Like if your parents were to play like a cool album, like if they played Talking Heads throughout the house or something like that. This is post-punk that's more reminiscent of that than Black Country New Road or something. What I mean by that is it's not like as punishing as early Black Country New Road or Squid. Even if you don't give a shit about genres and like the delineations between them and like how some post-punk is different from other post-punk and all that. All you need to know is this is a really damn good time. I love the organic sound of it that really complements the sparse instrumentation and relatively simplistic song structures. I think the vocal performances are great too. I really appreciate how the lead singer is often accompanied by a backup singer that's just doing like an octave of whatever they're doing. It's a simple move, but it's very effective. And it also doesn't ever really get old. It just adds a nice texture to the vocals. Every track feels like it's built on either a really solid drum groove or a good bass line, but they switch, like, they keep it interesting throughout the whole record somehow. Even though, like, conceptually, most of these tracks are probably built the same, you don't really feel that when listening to the record. There's also a lot of saxophone all over this record, which I love. We need more saxophonists in DIY, all right? If you're a saxophonist and you want to play on a Bummer Hill song, fucking hit me up, man. We'll figure it out. My favorite song is definitely Lost Appeal. I love the main groove and the supremely catchy chorus and the lyrics about rotting away and watching yourself lose interest in everything that you used to hold dear and strive for. I can't really point out a dud in this track list, and at 36 minutes, it's just a great record. Listen to it. Shout out Vessel. Hell yeah, gamer. And finally, we have 2 songs released by Yosemite and Black, Cold Shoulder and Robber Baron. This is the kind of shit you could blow up a planet to. Like, this is unbelievable. This is the kind of shit that turns a man straight up into an animal. This is the kind of shit that drives a man to, like, just unspeakable violence. This is the kind of shit that makes you reevaluate the whole life that you're living. Like, what the fuck, man? Towards the end of towards the end of Cold Shoulder, my fault, the track just, like, out of nowhere gets, like, 50 times heavier. I could not believe what I was hearing. Like, genuinely, it reminded me of how heavy that new Knocked Loose record gets. Like, I don't know how they did it. That point of the song, like, the rest of the song is great too. Like, don't get me wrong, but when that part of the song hit, I felt my entire world crumble around me. And I was just like, this is exactly my shit, but also, what the fuck is going on? I definitely do prefer Cold Shoulder over Robber Baron, but Robber Baron is great too. If Yosemite and Black is gearing up for an album release, consider me so stoked. Like, maybe one of my most anticipated records of the year. And I had no idea this band existed until I was making this video, which is so fucked up. Why didn't any of you tell me about this band? What the hell? This shit is awesome. Yeah, 2 just unbelievable tracks, and a great place to end this video on. Thank you so much for watching. I've been going for an hour at this point, so I'm anticipating like a 45-minute video, maybe. I don't know, but regardless, thank you so much for watching. Check out those playlists down in the description. Listen to my band, Bummer Hill. Listen to my Fallout Boy podcast that I run with Carson Dowboys. Keep up the good work. I believe in you, and you're epic. All right. Bye-bye. Very splendid. I'm going to get the June video out before August is over. Hopefully the same will be the case for the July video. I'm trying to get back into the groove with YouTube. Because I like making these videos. But once again, thank you so much for watching. And I will talk to you later. Bye.